The O'Reilly Factor is on tonight. A stunning ruling by the Supreme Court striking down a congressional law that banned child pornography using virtual images. We'll take a look at the ruling. The Pope calls the American cardinals to Rome, even if hundreds of Americans file lawsuits against accused pedophile priests. But are some of those suits bogus? And why did some pro-Israel demonstrators boo President Bush's representative? Caution, you're about to enter a no-spin zone. Factor begins in 90 seconds.
Good evening, I'm Kieran Chetry. Colin Powell's visit to the Middle East is winding down now with no ceasefire in the works. The Secretary of State will meet again with Yasser Arafat Wednesday. There's hope he can persuade the Palestinian leader to commit to some sort of ceasefire. On his way home, Powell will also meet with Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak. The Vatican saying today the aim of next week's summit with American cardinals is to restore faith in the Catholic clergy. The Pope has called the meeting to discuss the church abuse scandal. Vatican Radio said today the Pope wants to come up with some guidelines to restore that trust. Speaking of the church scandal, a Roman Catholic priest in California was found guilty today on 2 counts of molesting a 13-year-old girl back in the 1980s. The Reverend Don Kimball was cleared of raping a different girl in 1977. Kimball could face 8 years in prison, although he still has not been defrocked. And back at home, 2 Texas children are charged with the murder of their 6-year-old brother. The body of Jackson Carr was found buried in the woods north of Dallas. Carr's 10-year-old brother and 15-year-old sister confessed to the killing. They're being held in a juvenile detention center. And that is our update for now. We'll be back again for you coming up at the bottom of the hour. I'm Kieran Chetry. The O'Reilly Factor is up next right here on the Fox News Channel. Bill talking about the Bush backlash. That's coming up next.
Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thank you for watching us tonight. Who's looking out for you? That's the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. Because I am overexposed, I'm not doing a new book this fall. The next one will be out in the fall of 2003, and it's called Who's Looking Out for You? The answer is not too many people. Before he died, my father told me that the only people I could count on in my life were members of my family. Now, that has not turned out to be true, as I have been lucky enough to have some good friends, but I understand what my father was saying. In this busy, competitive society in which we all live, very few people have the time to look out for others outside their own families. That becomes a problem with the powerful. One of the reasons the Catholic Church has insisted upon unmarried priests is because they want their clergy to help those outside themselves. The Church wants a clergy free from familial responsibilities. But in recent months, we've seen that those running the Church here in America certainly were not looking out for Catholic children. They were trying to protect themselves in the pedophilia scandal. Likewise, many of our politicians, instead of trying to fix problems that hurt all Americans, they pander for votes. A few examples. The porous southern Mexican border could be sealed in a month by the U.S. military, ending the chaos down there. Why hasn't it been done? The waste of trillions of tax dollars could be drastically cut by creating a new federal agency that audits each government spending program every 6 months. Why hasn't it been done? Tax revenue could be increased and tax collection made far easier by imposing a flat tax on corporations and wage earners alike. But no, we continue with our arcane and unfair system. Drug addiction could be cut in half by imposing mandatory drug rehab for convicted drug-involved criminals. That takes addicts off the streets for at least a year and gives these people a chance to clean up. Why hasn't it been done? The public schools could be made safer and better by imposing federal rules for districts receiving federal aid, rules of conduct for the students, rules of performance for the teachers. But no, the unions don't like that. Strict fuel guidelines could be imposed on the American automobile industry, lessening our dependence on foreign oil. But no, the car and oil companies don't like that. I could give you 50 more examples. The truth is that the government rarely looks out for you. The education system is failing many kids, and the special interests dominate the debate. The number one rule in life is you must look out for yourself. And if you are lucky enough to find people who truly care about you, say a prayer of thanks. But don't expect the powerful to help you out. It most likely will not happen, and that is the truth. It's also the memo. Now for the top story tonight, an embarrassment for the Bush administration at a pro-Israel rally yesterday in Washington. The White House sent Deputy Defense Secretary Paul Wolfowitz to speak. He was booed.
Israelis are not the only victims of the violence in the Middle East. Innocent Palestinians are suffering and dying in great numbers as well. It is critical that we recognize and acknowledge that fact.
Joining us now from Washington is Gary Bauer, the president of the American Values Organization. Mr. Bauer was at the rally. I was offended. What about you?
You were not offended?
I was offended by that booing. I was very offended. I thought Secretary made a good point, and you know, come on, it's incontrovertible that innocent Palestinians are suffering in this.
You know, Bill, it's incontrovertible that innocent people die in every war that has ever been fought in the history of mankind. You could say it about innocent Germans in World War II, innocent civilians in Afghanistan today. And I think that is the point. When Mr. Wolfowitz said that, what was the point he was trying to make? I think the crowd assumed that he was trying to make a point about moral equivalence. And that, I think, the crowd rejects, and I reject, too.
No, well, even if that's true, and I don't believe that was the point was the Bush administration is trying to get the fanaticism out of both sides. That's number one. That's what the Bush administration is trying to do. They're trying to get the fanaticism out of both sides. To do that, they have to use reason. They have to reason. And they have to say, look, the best solution to this is a negotiated solution so that innocent people don't get hurt on both sides. So Wolfowitz goes up there, a Jew, by the way. He goes up there and he says, look, we're with you. We support the fight on terrorism. But we also want everybody to keep in mind that innocent people are suffering on the Palestinian side. So the best solution is a negotiated solution. And he gets booed. He gets booed.
Bill, what fanaticism on both sides? The state of Israel 2 years ago offered a Palestinian state to the Palestinian people. This is the problem with what Secretary Wolfowitz said. Israeli civilians are dying because the murdering terrorists they're facing single out civilians in these bombings. That's intentional. It's done as a matter of policy. The civilians that have died on the Palestinian side have died by accident. They have died in the course of military operations in which Israel has exercised their right of self-defense to try to find the terrorists who are bringing these murderous attacks on the people of Israel.
All right.
That is
Listen,
exactly the reason the crowd
I'm not going to argue
did.
the point that I have been the most outspoken guy in the world saying that the terrorism, the bombing is inexcusable, and I've sliced up anybody who came on this program trying to justify it. But you're making a blanket statement that's saying the Palestinians have been killed by accident. You don't know that, and I don't know that. There could have been soldiers in there who committed atrocities. We simply don't know. We sent our reporters in today to look.
Do we know everything about Afghanistan, Bill? These things happen in war.
That's right.
Right. And the point is what?
That's right. So peace should be on the minds of everyone. Everyone, Mr. Bauer. And I'm not so sure it's on the minds of Ariel Sharon. I don't think it's on his mind.
Should peace be on our mind in our war with Al-Qaeda and with the Taliban?
Absolutely yes.
No, sir. No, sir. Victory should be on our minds, followed by a just peace. And there is a big difference.
Peace should be on our mind in the sense that we want to eliminate these terrorists so that they can't cause any more trouble. Now, it's a different situation, and you know it's different, Mr. Bauer.
No, it is not different.
Yes, it is.
Not different.
Because these people, sooner or later, are going to have to live side by side. We're never going to have to live side by side with Al-Qaeda. Never. The Palestinians and Israelis, sooner or later, are going to live side by side. It's a different situation.
That will not happen until people throughout the Middle East that are dedicated to the destruction of Jews have been defeated on the field of battle. Bill, the bottom line problem here, and the reason the crowd booed, is that there are a whole lot of elites in America, in our media. There are a whole lot of elites in Western Europe. There are a whole lot of elites at the UN that are very tolerant of dead Jews.
And that's ridiculous.
And they quickly leap to tell Israel, now don't do anything as you suffer these terrorist deaths.
That's absurd.
And I think
we
that people are fed up with it.
I stand behind Israel in defending itself. But I will tell you this. In the mid-'90s, there were very few bombings on the part of the Palestinians. It didn't happen. After the Oslo Accord and while the negotiations were going on in the Clinton administration, there were no bombings. So you have some people out of control now, and Hamas particularly, that have to be dealt with. But Sharon and Israel have to show a willingness, Mr. Bauer, to say, yes, we have to defend ourselves, but yes, we also want peace. And you can't discount Palestinian suffering as the Boers were doing in Washington.
Bill, why in the world would you assume that the Israeli people, who daily have been scraping body parts off of their streets, do not want peace? What they do not want, however, is a Palestinian state in place of the state of Israel. And the fact is that many Palestinians and most of the thugs in the region masquerading as heads of state are still committed to the destruction of the Jewish state.
All right, but you have to be willing, if you are Ariel Sharon, to say, we are going to protect ourselves, but we are also going to be reasonable and give peace a chance. All right? So if Powell comes in, we're going to try to help him. We're going to try to help President Bush in the sense that the Israelis can always go back in, Mr. Bauer. It's not a one-time all thing. But they have to show some kind of elasticity now that they've won their initial victory. I'll give you the last word.
Look at the pressure that's on Israel for just doing this after day after day after day of suicide bombings. No, they can't just go right back in.
Yes, they can.
Because the wimps in Europe and the second-guessers...
Sharon doesn't care about the wimps in Europe. He has the military power to destroy every Palestinian town anytime he wants. When you have that kind of power, you can afford to be a little bit more reflective.
Bill, what happened to that last word?
What?
Well, look, the last word is Israel has the right to defend itself. They have been willing to negotiate for peace. It's time to lecture the Palestinians and the radical Muslim extremists in the area, not the democratic leadership of the state of Israel.
All right. I forgot where we were in the debate, Mr. Bauer. Thank you for correcting me. I appreciate you coming on. Next on the rundown, the Supreme Court says okay to simulated child porn, if you can believe it. Right back.
Their parents all have great jobs, live in the same neighborhood, same cars, same vacations. So why will some families be paying for college while the rest are praying for scholarships? Some people already know our financial representatives excel at a lot more than life insurance. Northwestern Mutual Financial Network. Are you there yet?
This is Bob. Bob is doing well. Very well indeed. That's because not long ago, Bob realized that he needed something better in his life. And what did he get? Why, a big boost of confidence, a little more self-esteem, and a very happy missus at home. If you're interested in learning more about Enzyte, call for more information at 1-877-4-ENZYTE or visit us online.
I got one.
I got two. I got my own website, and I love it.
VeriSign made it so easy. It took less than an hour to set up my new website.
It's as simple as point, click, and type. I can't believe how affordable it is. My website costs less than 20 cents a day.
I didn't want to pay a lot for a website. With VeriSign, I didn't have to.
They give you so many great designs to choose from. I found one that's perfect for me. Now I have my own address on the web, plus a matching email address.
My customers love it, and my sales have really taken off.
It's so easy. I set up a second website for my son's baseball team.
Get started now. VeriSign gives you everything you need. Your website, web address, even matching email. All for as little as $65 a year. There's even a 30-day money-back guarantee. So start your new website today. Call now or visit us online at yourbizsite.tv.
In the Unresolved Problems segment tonight, the battle continues over child pornography in America. By a vote of 6-3, the Supreme Court has struck down a congressional law that banned virtual child porn on the internet and other sexual images involving adults playing the roles of children, that kind of thing. Child pornography is against the law, as you know, and Congress believed that images depicting that loathsome undertaking were illegal, whether the images contained real people or computer images simulating real people. Images can't actually have sex, although they can go through the motions. Joining us now from Los Angeles is criminal defense attorney Jeffrey Douglas, the chairman of the board for the Free Speech Coalition, which brought the case to the Supreme Court. Now, counsel, let's walk through this. Why, in your opinion, is child pornography against the law in the first place?
Because it represents a existing criminal act, that is the molestation of children, and that molestation is made worse by the fact that it's recorded and replayed over and over again.
All right, but there's a difference between child molestation and child pornography. They're two different crimes. So if you get a child to perform in a videotape and you are an actor and you're molesting him, you can go to jail. But if you get that tape and watch it, you can also go to jail. That's child pornography. So why is watching a tape of a child having sex against the law?
Because the underlying crime of child molestation, we're trying to prevent that from having a financial incentive to occur. You make the product illegal, so you create a disincentive to commit the underlying crime. That's what the court said in Ferber.
All right, but it's also akin to the drug laws in the sense that you make cocaine and heroin illegal because they are considered dangerous to society. And therefore you can't use them because you become intoxicated and you could hurt society. That, I believe, is also in play in the child pornography law. It's illegal, yes, because you are participating in child molestation by paying for it and watching the act. But it's also a danger to society because it basically drives a criminal action and intent, as we see in the NAMBLA case up in Massachusetts, where the guy said, I killed a 10-year-old because I looked at NAMBLA literature and that spurred me on to do it. So that being a fact and a reality, you're not going to dispute that, are you?
Oh, I absolutely am. That is, under what circumstances would you as a rational person take the words of a admitted sex criminal and child murderer and take what they say on face value? If
because
he said to you that he was
sex
inspired,
murderer was caught, before the sex, wait a minute, Counselor, before the man was caught, he kept a diary. And in the diary, he wrote, this is making me want to commit this act of rape against a 10-year-old. That's why. Why would I not believe that?
If he had said that he was driven by the Bible, as other people have said, you wouldn't consider banning the Bible.
Well, I'd consider him insane. But in this context, in this situation, it's in context. What I'm saying to you is there is a school of thought in society, and I happen to believe it as well, that child pornography, realistic or virtual, is a product that can drive violence against children. Am I wrong?
I believe you are, but let's assume for a moment that it's correct. That is, that there are studies or there's something other than anecdotal information that supports that. We also know that many other depictions of crime stimulate crime. That is, when every time the Deer Hunter airs on television, people play Russian roulette and die. When The Money Train was released, there's a scene in there, a realistic scene of a person committing an act of arson and setting a woman on fire in the New York subways. When the movie was released, a psychotic reenacted the crime and set fire to a toll
You're
taker.
talking about adults doing ridiculous things because they're unstable. I'm saying to you that legalizing virtual pornography, which is the same thing as child molestation, except that the child doesn't actually get molested, it drives something that is going to put American children in danger. That is my opinion, and that's why I would have voted against this. I'll give you the last word.
The problem with the analysis, that is the intellectual analysis underlying it, is this. How do you distinguish? You said he's insane. What's a pedophile? That is, if you can show that a pedophile is stimulated to the criminal activity by given material, if you ban that material, what is it that prevents you from banning other material that stimulates other criminal activity?
Because the other material doesn't put children in harm's way.
Okay. But it does. It does. That is, a movie that shows children lying down on the street for the thrill of almost getting run over, and some of them getting run over. You make a movie, you glamorize that, and minors go out and do that same behavior.
But it's not a business. It's a different situation. That's situation ethics. This is a business designed solely to arouse adults to either commit or think about committing a criminal act on a child. Okay, that's what this is. That's why it should be illegal.
What you just said is so critical. To think about. What this law was is a thought crime. That is, you're not harming any children, you're thinking about harming children. We want you to stop thinking about harming children, so we're going to pass this vast, enormous ban. And don't forget don't forget, the law did not just ban virtual child
I know, there were
pornography.
other things involved, but that was the big thing for me. Hey, Counselor, we appreciate your point of view. Thanks for coming on. Directly ahead, with the pedophilia frenzy, how do the authorities know when false accusations are filed against Catholic priests? Right back with that.
Imagine me and you.
You two were meant for each other. Luscious lobster and succulent shrimp. Together for a limited time and priced at just $12.99. Only at Red Lobster. Go overboard.
Working hard or working out, nutrition is important. With Centrum or Centrum Silver, you benefit from what science discovers about how the right multivitamins help unlock energy and strengthen immunity. Centrum and Centrum Silver, always complete from A to Zinc.
Experience the new National Geographic Channel. Spectacular new shows. Around-the-clock adventure. The continuing story of life on Earth every day of the week. A new channel. A new National Geographic. Log on to nationalgeographic.com and request the new NGC. Always wonder.
KXL News Time, 7:50.
Ivan Scott joins us live from the Pentagon.
It's at 15 and 45. Here's Kevin.
Now, Bill O'Reilly's Talking Points on KXL.
The home of the Ducks and Blazers, News Radio.
Your station for fair and balanced news. News Radio 750 KXL.
Hi, Pam Paulette for City Liquidators Furniture Warehouse, where you'll find a huge selection of leather in stock, ready for delivery. Like this Gaucho walnut leather sofa, only $10.88. Or this Italian leather sofa for $11.88. Not to mention our huge selection of leather wing backs and recliners. Or this leather sofa for $6.98. Or a retro leather sofa for $9.99. Or this Italian beauty, only $13.88. And our #1 selling frame, only $9.99, direct from Italy. City Liquidators saves you money.
Good morning, Portland. I'm Steve Leader.
And I'm Rebecca Marshall.
Portland firefighters come to the rescue of a
pretty strong front is moving towards the Oregon coast.
On the Sunset heading inbound from the west side.
Today, the Fed is likely to announce an interest rate. Your station for fair and balanced news. News Radio 750 KXL.
The Impact segment is brought to you by Fidelity Investments. We can help you see yourself succeeding.
The Impact segment tonight, more than 400 people have recently come forward in New England claiming they were victims of priest molestation a couple of weeks ago. A mentally unstable woman in California leveled an accusation against Los Angeles Cardinal Mahoney. It was false. Joining us now from Boston is attorney Eric McLeish, who has hundreds of cases of alleged abuse coming into his office. How many since this started? How many people have come into your office?
Well, when you say come in, we're very selective. We screen people in and then we have them examined by psychologists. We sometimes polygraph them. We've been doing this for a long time.
Right,
Bill. We did the Porter case.
I
would say at the present time we have about 125 cases that have been screened in. We're a firm with 800 lawyers, though, so we have the resources to do that. There clearly are people out there that have called us, though, who are looking to make a quick buck,
All right,
and we get rid of them real fast.
Since the Gagin case started,
right,
and since it's broken in the Boston Globe, how many people have contacted your office?
Oh, I would say that over 300 people have contacted our office, and that we are looking at about 125 claims that we're looking at taking. We filed approximately 20 lawsuits, but before we file a lawsuit, Bill, we do a lot of other due diligence.
Let's walk through it. Let's try. I come into your office, okay, and I don't get to see you. I get to see an assistant.
No, you could see me, or you could see an assistant or a lawyer. I mean, we have 5 lawyers.
You interview me. Is that
Right.
what you do first thing? And you take down the accusations, right?
We would take down the accusations. We would look for certain things in that, Bill. We would look, for example, we would ask people, as we often do, because we've been doing this for so long, are you willing to take a polygraph? And we would wait for the response, and if it's like more than 5 milliseconds, antenna go up. Okay?
Yep.
Then the other thing we would do is we say, we want you to go to the police. We insist that people go to the police if they have been offended in a way that is within the statute of limitations.
Because that's smart, because if they go to the police and they file a false claim, they can be prosecuted.
That's exactly right.
Do you make that point to them?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, good.
Are they serious? Then what we do, and we're doing it right now because we've got a priest of the Archdiocese, only one allegation against him by this one young man. We're polygraphing him. Okay.
Now, how reliable is that polygraph?
Well, we use former FBI and in fact CIA polygraphers who can give us some information information. But, you know, people do believe that this is reliable, and I personally think that it is one piece of the gathering evidence tool. But, you know, here the problem, Bill, is that when sexual assaults are committed on children and women and men, they generally occur in private. You don't have direct witnesses.
But I mean, the polygraph test, if they flunk it, they're out, right?
If they flunk it, we've polygraphed people in the past. They flunk it. We're going to err on the side of not doing it.
But you're experts. You know how it is. Can you beat that polygraph?
No. I think it's very hard to beat. But that's only one piece of the.
I understand. But I think people are interested in that.
Yeah. No. I think that polygraphs are not totally reliable. But I think people's response time to "Are you willing to be polygraphed?" and if they start hesitating.
Sure. I mean, you're reading a person, and I do that as a interviewer. I look at them. I ask them a question. If they hem and haw, I know that they're dancing. Now, let me ask you this.
The rest of the steps, though, Bill.
Well, you got the two big ones, the polygraph and the cops.
But a forensic evaluation by a board-certified, Harvard-trained psychiatrist, not the usual hack down the street, but somebody who's really credentialed, who will look at this person. Are these symptoms consistent?
And you pay for that?
Yeah, we will pay for that, or the individual clients will pay for that.
Well, probably you'll charge them for it. You say you have to go to this guy and you have to have this battery, so he's got to be convinced this is real.
Right,
okay.
Including psychological testing.
The reason I want to move along is because I have another really important. You've convinced me that you're responsible, and
thank you.
I was
no
very
shenanigans.
No shenanigans going on with your. Now, the press in this Los Angeles thing, because I was out on the West Coast when that happened. Terribly irresponsible, I thought.
Oh, it was grotesque.
And Mahoney, I don't know the man. I mean, he's not open to me interviewing him and all of that.
Right.
But it wasn't right.
It was wrong.
Yeah.
It was terribly wrong. And the same thing happened. And I held a press conference to blast this idiot lawyer in New Jersey that sued Cardinal Bernardin in 1994, and it was eventually recanted. Bernardin was a guy that I was talking to during the Porter years when we formulated the state-of-the-art policy. He was a good man. He died shortly thereafter, but I always felt that the irresponsible behavior of this lawyer in New Jersey, I don't mind naming him because I had a press conference blasting him. One case against probably the most prominent cleric in the United States, a good man who was way ahead of his time.
It was debunked. The problem is now you're going to have sleazy lawyers coming out trying to exploit the sleazy people.
Right.
And you got a witch hunt going on. But then you have your culpability at the top. There's no question about that.
You do.
Quick. We only have 30 seconds. What do you think of the Pope ordering these guys, the Cardinals, over to Rome?
I always look on the bright side, Bill. I think it's good that the Holy Father has done this, but he has to get input from responsible victim advocates and victims. This problem cannot be solved solely by having 7 Cardinals go to Rome. It's a good start. It shows, if nothing else, the seriousness with which this is being treated, and it deserves to be treated seriously.
Thanks, Counselor. Always a pleasure.
Bill,
we appreciate
good to see
it.
you.
Plenty more ahead as a factor moves along this evening. Botox. It's legal. Should you face up to the drug and look better? We'll have a report. And then the Minneapolis Star Tribune will not call Palestinian attacks on civilians terrorism. Why not? We hope you stay tuned.
It was not my dream to retire here. To the place where a couple first met.
I'm good, thanks.
Married. And always planned to return. But I embraced that dream with unwavering attention, and it became my own. And that's what I do at Morgan Stanley, one client at a time.
There is no formula for engineering a smooth-riding 5-link rear suspension. No instructions for designing a superior multi-alloy steel safety cage or the ideal 8-passenger interior. After all, you can't follow old directions when you're forging new ones. The full-size Toyota Sequoia. It's unlike anything you've experienced.
Tonight, General Motors is violent in the Middle East, putting the brakes on buying cars. Advice for driving up portfolio profits and steering your money in the right direction. Your World with Neil Cavuto. We are the #1 nightly business program on cable news. We are Fox News Channel, the network America trusts for fair and balanced news. The news you need from the name you trust. The Big Story with John Gibson.
Breaking news on big issues affecting you.
Fair and balanced on Fox News Channel.
Personal story segment tonight, Botox. The FDA says the neurotoxin is safe to use, and millions of Americans are thinking about getting rid of those wrinkles by injecting Botox into their faces. Joining us now from Los Angeles, the plastic surgery capital of the world, is Dr. Barry Weintraub, a plastic surgeon in Beverly Hills. Sarah Richmond, who had her first Botox treatment 3 weeks ago. Ms. Richmond, why'd you do it?
The reason I did it is because I was so, people were saying, Sarah, you're always frowny, you always look angry. I said, I'm not, I'm really a happy person. I said, so I did something about it.
So you had little frown lines right between your eyes? Is that where you had them?
I had them between my eyes, yes, I did.
Okay, and do you have lines on your forehead as well, like I do?
I had lines on my forehead because I do a lot of sports. I play tennis and ski, and truthfully, I wanted to wear my hair back. I always had to wear bangs, and now it's great because my forehead is just smooth.
Now, did you get one little shot in the head? Is that what they did?
No, no, no. He does it like, he'll explain the procedure. What he does is he puts it like in a V shape across the forehead like this, and then he injects little tiny bits of
well, how many,
Botox.
I don't want to see that shot, by the way. Good, thank you. I don't like that needle business. But how many little pricks did you get there?
Probably about 6.
6? Now, is the whole face or just the forehead and between the eyes?
I did the forehead between the eyes, and then I did around the eyes because I had little crow's feet, too.
All right. Now, doctor, I'm really squeamish about this stuff in general. My philosophy is don't fool around with Mother Nature, but I know I'm an old fogey and boring. How long is this Botox treatment going to work on Miss Richmond before those wrinkles return?
Well, Botox has been around for decades, actually, having been used by neurologists for various neuromuscular diseases. It lasts about 7 to 8 months, sometimes down to 6 months, if it's employed properly. I can actually illustrate this for you with a pen.
No, I don't want to see it. I don't need any of that. I mean, if people want to do that, they can go to your office. You can illustrate for them. What I want to know is, did you have Botox? Are you Botoxed up?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Well, I had to ask that. Now, when somebody like Miss Richmond comes in, so it's 7 or 8 months, then she have to come back for more Botox after that?
Yes, and if it lasts even down to 3 and 4 months, it can be injected approximately 3 times in a year. And what it does is it paralyzes 4 specific muscle groups. The procerus in the center of the
All right, that's good. That's good. I mean, anybody want to go to med school, they can do that. All right, I'm more interested in nuts and bolts here. All right, so you go back 3 times a year, that's max. And you really, I mean, you can't feel anything in your face. One of the reasons they can't hire the movie actress Cher is because she can't move her face. She got so much Botox or whatever else she got in there, she can't have any expression. So she has that dumb expression that she has all the time. And, you know, if she has to play a smart character, she can't do it because she just has a blank look. Is it the same thing? You can't move your face with the Botox?
No, that's not true at all. And I'm glad you asked that question because when injected properly, it has nothing to do with being expressive.
All right, so you can be expressive, you're saying?
Absolutely.
All right, Miss Richmond.
Yes.
Go back on Miss Richmond for a minute, please. Can we get a camera on her? There you go. Frown for me. I'm not seeing any lines there, doctor.
Yeah, well, we don't want
I know,
those
but
lines.
how can you have a frown expression?
Because she has to be able to smile, she has to be able to show expression, but the lines that are making her look angry, sad, and to diminish fine lines and wrinkles, which she may want to do in middle age, are gone.
I know, but that's my point. Say Miss Richmond gets a part and she has to play somebody who's, you know, like, I see if I got Botox, the factor would have to be off the air because I couldn't show expression in my face.
No, you have to look natural, Bill, and you have to know your muscle groups, and you have to inject it in small amounts and preserve the muscle groups that allow you to give the expression, for instance, to continue acting and to continue to look natural.
But she can't frown, and sometimes that frown comes in handy with me. Last question, doctor. How much does this cost?
Oh, it depends on the number of areas you inject. I would say anywhere from $500 to $750, depending on the number of areas.
And does it hurt?
Yes, it does. It feels like a little mosquito bite. It's a small pediatric needle that's used in very, very small quantities.
Miss Richmond, real fast, did you have any pain?
Not really. Just
no, the next day you were okay? No little headache?
I could just walk out of there. I was fine. It was like about 10 minutes and I was done. And,
all right.
And Dr. Weintraub is so gentle.
We'll let the audience decide. Thank you much, Doctor. Sarah, we'll be right back. No Botox here.
Fox News Live, I'm Kiran Chetri. British troops are in the midst of their first major combat offensive in the Afghan war. Fox's Amy Kellogg reports.
Everyone here has been waiting for word of the next major operation in Afghanistan. Now we have it. Those newly arrived elite British Royal Marines are finally combat ready and have deployed to the mountains on the Pakistan-Afghanistan border. They are working side by side, or shoulder to shoulder, as the Royal Marines put it, with Allied forces, Americans and others. Both the Pentagon and British military spokesmen are being vague about the operation, though, for obvious reasons. But according to the British, they have moved into a Taliban al-Qaeda base so it can never be used by the enemy again. And Afghanistan's interim leader Hamid Karzai left Kabul for Rome on Tuesday. He will pick up the exiled king, Mohammad Zahir Shah, and bring him back to Afghanistan. Though not all Afghans are enthusiastic about the return of the former king, many here hope that his presence will be a unifying force for Afghans as they continue their march toward democracy. In Kabul, Afghanistan, Amy Kellogg, Fox News.
And on a lighter note, someone could be $325 million richer tonight. The numbers for the 7-state big game lotto are in. They're 7, 10, 25, 26, 27, and the big money ball number, 23. Good luck. We're back at the top of the hour with more news. The O'Reilly Factor continues after the break.
Okay, let's do one-year predictions. You first.
I predict you'll be on the menu.
Ooh, zinger. You got me. Come on.
Dow, 5,000. NASDAQ, 800.
Interesting. Wrong, but interesting. Get this. Dow, 25,000. NASDAQ, 8,000. Give or take a grand.
Or 10.
You know the difference between you and me?
Yeah, common sense.
No, you're a pessimist. Nobody likes a pessimist.
Nobody likes a talking steak either.
No matter which way you think the market will go, Ameritrade can give you an edge. With a fast trading site and a 10-second guarantee. Qualified market trades that take longer than 10 seconds to execute are commission-free. Limitations apply. Open a cash account with $1,000 and get 25 internet equity trades commission-free. Go to Ameritrade.com.
Hey, aren't you going to leave a tip?
Tipping is for cows.
At FoxSports.com, our fantasy sports are just a little different. Introducing Reggie Jackson's Fantasy Baseball. Play a new game every day. Win big cash every day. Got it? Play every day, win every day. Only at FoxSports.com. All right, ladies, hit the showers.
Thanks for staying with us. Bill O'Reilly in the Factor follow-up segment tonight. 350 prominent citizens of Minnesota have signed an advertisement criticizing the Minneapolis Star-Tribune newspaper for refusing to call Palestinian attacks on civilians terrorism. The paper replaces words like terrorism and terrorists with other words when dispatches come in from the news wires. Star-Tribune would not provide a spokesperson, which is very strange, especially for a newspaper wanting to communicate to Americans. But joining us now from Minneapolis is Mark Rottenberg, the co-founder of Minnesotans Against Terror. And from Washington, John Watson, professor of journalism ethics at American University. Mr. Rottenberg, let's start with you. You're obviously angered about this. You formed this group, and what's the response from the newspaper?
Well, Bill, it's really strange, and if it weren't such a serious subject, it would just be a sad joke. The Star-Tribune has taken the position that they will use the word terrorist and terrorism in a variety of other contexts around the world, but not with respect to Israeli citizens that are targeted for death by these Palestinian terrorist groups. Yasser Arafat himself is willing, at least in English, to call these groups terrorist groups and their activities terrorism. And the Star-Tribune takes the view that it would be taking sides to use that term here. And a number of us, from Governor Ventura to the Democratic senators, to the former Republican senators across the political spectrum, clergy of various faiths, business leaders and professionals have all decided to call the Star-Tribune on that unconscionable policy.
And what does the editor say? And I might point out to the audience that the Star-Tribune picks up the New York Times wire, and the New York Times, which some believe is sympathetic to the Palestinians, at least on on some level, uses the word terrorism and terrorists when there are suicide bomber attacks. Yet the Star Tribune, when they use a New York Times article, changes those words from the Dispatch. What does the editor say?
Well, Bill, again, if this weren't so serious, it would just be a very sad joke. The very day that the Star Tribune responded publicly in writing in their own newspaper by saying that they will not change the wire copy, they took a front-page national edition New York Times story and cleansed all of the references to terrorism and terrorists from the copy and put it in the A section of the local paper. This is the very day that the Star Tribune managing editor said they wouldn't do that. And they're just misleading their readers, even if you disagree on the issue.
But I want to know why. Do you have any why on this deal?
They say that one person's terrorist is another person's freedom fighter. As far as we can tell here in Minnesota, Bill.
Who said that? That's so stupid, it's painful.
Well, that was one of the people that was quoted supporting their policy.
Yeah, but it wasn't somebody on the masthead of the paper. I don't think anybody could be that dumb. Hey, well, Professor, what do you think about all this?
I think I can be that dumb.
Really?
The simple fact of the matter is, if you look in American history, there were people we now call patriots who terrorized Tories. These were British citizens who supported their king. There's no parallel between the situation in the Middle East and the American struggle for freedom, but in terms of labeling people, calling someone a patriot and calling someone a terrorist is a value-laden label.
All right, but wouldn't you concede, Professor, that a person, no matter whether they're a freedom fighter or whatever they want to call themselves, who deliberately targets women and children, civilians, would be a terrorist? Wouldn't you concede that?
I would concede that that would be an
all we're
appropriate
talking
label.
about. That is
well, no,
all
you're talking
we are
about
talking
more than
about.
that.
No, we're not, because in the dispatches that the Minneapolis Star Tribune has, Mr. Rottenberg's word, cleansed, they have, the dispatches were about the suicide bombing, killing women and children. And this is what's so offensive to me, that I don't think it's morally or journalistically justifiable for them to do that. Am I wrong, Professor?
Is it journalistically justifiable for one newspaper to control the content that it displays in its paper? Well, of course.
What if they're, but what if they're distorting what has actually taken place?
If they are distorting the facts, then that is completely wrong and unacceptable and unethical.
But you're saying they have the editorial right in a hard news story dispatch from another news service to take the word terrorist and change it?
Right. If they find that word ethically unacceptable, they not only have the right, I think they have the obligation to do so.
What do you say to that, Mr. Rottenberg?
Well, you know, Mr. Watson, at least we agree on one thing. There is no comparison between the patriots in the American Revolution and the terrorists in the Middle East. The simple fact is that if you're going to start taking sides on these battles, then you should say so and be honest with your readers. I think even Mr. Watson will agree with me that it is simply poor journalism and dishonest to tell your readers that you will not edit out the words terrorism in the wire copy that you get and then systematically proceed to do so on the very same day you're making that statement.
But there's another stronger point, Professor, and I want you to address this. If your only source of news is the Minneapolis Star Tribune, and you have to assume that that's the case for some Minnesotans, if that's your only source of news, don't you get a skewed outlook of what's really happening here? See, I call the bombings that the Palestinians have done murder. That's what, as a news analyst, that's my description of it. But our news reporters don't. They call them terrorist attacks. I call them murder, because I'm allowed to do that because I'm an editorialist. All right? But if you don't get a sense of any beyond the pale here, isn't that distorting the news, Professor?
I think that if you distort the facts, you are clearly disserving your readership. And clearly, I don't think there's any place in the country where anybody relies only on a newspaper.
All right, fine.
Television,
but the definition
cable.
in a dictionary of terrorism is an act designed to frighten civilians, the local population. Surely, Professor, surely that's what suicide bombing is. There's no question
about it.
So why won't the Minneapolis Star Tribune call it what it is?
Okay, I don't know why they don't.
Then you should condemn it. If it is an act of terror and they won't do it, journalistically, they are being dishonest and it should be condemned.
Not necessarily. In the American language, there's a thing called a synonym. There are words that mean the same thing but don't sound the same. In journalism, if you were trying to be balanced, objective, and unbiased, you would prefer words that are descriptive as opposed to words that are emotive, that indicate a bias, that are really labels. Now, if you talk about someone killing another person, you can say this person killed another person. If you say terrorist in 2002 in the United States, that word terrorist comes with a huge amount of baggage.
But as I said, and you just admitted in the beginning, this is terrorism. That's the definition of it. That's the intent of it. There's no other way to see
that point. I agree with you perfectly. I absolutely agree with you.
I'm going to give Mr. Rotenberg
terrorism.
the last word. I'm on your side, Mr. Rotenberg. I think there's something very wrong in the Minneapolis paper. Just the fact that they're not here to defend their policy is astounding to me. But what are you going to do about it? Are you going to do anything about it? Are you calling for a boycott of the paper or anything like that?
Well, we have, again, across the board, liberals, conservatives, libertarians, independents, clergy of all faiths, business leaders who are on their case about this, Bill, and we're not going to let this go. And insofar as Mr. Watson's claim that the word terrorism is emotive, sure it is. But if you're covering World War II, calling the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor a sneak attack is emotive too. If you fail to use words that accurately characterize the dastardly behavior of certain people, then you're not covering the news.
I agree with you. Gentlemen, we appreciate it. Very interesting debate. Thank you very much. In a moment, the creator of the TV program Survivor. The issue, will somebody actually die on one of these programs? They're just pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. That's next.
This is Bob. Bob is doing well. Very well indeed. That's because not long ago, Bob realized that he needed something better in his life. And what did he get? Why, a big boost of confidence, a little more self-esteem, and a very happy missus at home. If you're interested in learning more about Enzyte, call for more information at 1-877-4-ENZYTE or visit us online.
KXL News Time, 7:50.
Ivan Scott joins us live from the Pentagon.
It's at 15 and 45. Here's
Now,
Kevin.
Bill O'Reilly's Talking Points on KXL.
The home of the Ducks and Blazers, News Radio. Your station for fair and balanced news. News Radio 750 KXL.
Well, Mr. Limbaugh, what has our little agitator been up to this week? Gluing Mrs. Brendel to her chair? Bringing in your sister's underpants for show and tell? Science project took out East Wing? Do you know where smart Alex like you end up?
On the radio?
Rush Limbaugh has moved to News Talk 620 KTLK. News Talk for the Great Northwest.
How do you make buying your next appliance a good experience? By working with knowledgeable staff who really care about your needs. By dealing with no-pressure salespeople in a friendly atmosphere who believe in great customer service. This is what you'll find at Riegelman's and Hamilton's appliance stores.
Bosch dishwashers are really quiet and so efficient they qualify for Oregon's energy tax credit. Come into Riegelman's or Hamilton's and get the quality construction and elegant styling of Bosch.
And brand source buying power saves you money. Come into a Riegelman's or Hamilton's today.
Look at the car. It's a convertible.
Silver Collector Car Auction, Saturday, April 20th at the Portland Expo. 150 collector cars, exotic, street rods, convertible sports cars, and muscle cars this Saturday at the Portland Expo auction. Silver Collector Car Auction this Saturday, Portland Expo. To buy and sell great cars, use Silver Auctions.
15,000. No reserve. 15. It's selling all the way. Got it. 20 grand. Got it. 22.5.
Good morning, Portland. I'm Steve Leader.
And I'm Rebecca Marshall.
Portland firefighters come to the rescue of a
pretty
strong
front
is moving towards the Oregon
Lined up on the Sunset heading inbound from the west side.
Today, the Fed is
likely to announce an interest rate. Your station for fair and balanced news. News Radio 750 KXL.
In the back of the book segment tonight, the Survivor phenomenon. The CBS reality series is still a huge hit, and now another form of that program will debut Sunday night on the USA cable network. It's called Eco Challenge New Zealand. Joining us now is the brains behind Survivor creator Mark Burnett. All right, so basically the Eco Challenge in New Zealand, a bunch of guys running around in a race or something, and what do they got to kick tarantulas in the face, or what do they do?
No, it's teams of 4, always men and women in each team, racing 300 miles non-stop. River rafting, horse riding, mountaineering, mountain biking.
And whoever wins the race wins what, $1 million or something?
No. It's actually for the joy of winning. It's $50,000 prize money, but it costs $13,000 to enter.
All right, so you're netting 37 if you win. Most of these people are going to go home bankrupt. All right, now look, I got a lot of questions about this deal. First of all, are you ever afraid that these people are going to hurt themselves? Because some of these locations and some of the stuff they do, people get hurt.
Absolutely. Eco Challenge is very, very dangerous. I've been doing it a long time now, almost a decade, and have raced in these kind of races myself. It's the same assumed risk as probably climbing Mount Everest.
So they have to sign a paper saying if they die, you're not responsible, right?
There's waivers signed, which are very, very large legal waivers. Clearly, they're assuming the risk. They're crossing mountain ranges.
Yeah, I mean, it's not easy stuff. And somebody could have a heart attack or somebody get bitten by a snake. I mean, you're big on the snakes in the Survivor thing. Does anybody ever get bitten by one of them?
Yeah, we had a few snake bites during Survivor, but not the cast, the crew.
The crew got bitten?
Yeah.
Do they have to sign a paper, too?
Everybody
signs a paper. If I get bitten by a lizard, you can't sue. Now, you're a former British Army parachute guy, so you like all this. And I know there are millions, I'd say, people who want to be on Survivor. How do you pick them?
You know, we require a 3-minute VHS tape to be sent in by everybody. If we required a piece of paper, we'd get 1 million applications. We've cut that down to about 60,000 applications per cycle. We go through, every tape is watched by a huge staff of about 40 who are working for months on end. We see in person about 1,000 people. From that 1,000, bring about 50 to Los Angeles for 10 days of psych testing, medical testing,
10
interviews.
days?
Yes.
Do you do acting testing, too? Because most of these people are acting while they're on the Survivor.
We try and get rid of all the wannabe actors.
Yeah, but they're acting. I mean, now, come on, you know that. Now, you got a staff of 100 with them, so you're not, it's like Survivor with 100 people you can't see.
Around about 400, actually.
On the islands that you go on, the locations in Africa?
And separate islands.
It's a big crew. So, I mean,
Huge
you're not
crew.
really surviving these people. You got 400 people right behind the camera going, hey, how you doing?
O'Reilly, I don't think you'd last, honestly, one night without, in a tent, let alone
Let me
without
tell you
a tent.
something, Burnett.
Come
This
on,
program's
come
the
on.
real Survivor here, okay? People get voted off the world every day on this program. I'll come out there and I'll kick that lizard right in the head. All right, now, so you got all these 400 people around, and then, you know, you're going, people are kind of, well, where can I find my next grape? And they're eating their little catered meals right behind the camera. What kind of stuff is that?
You know, there's no eating in front of the survivors. No eating, smoking, drinking in front of them. In fact, the fact of the matter is, the crew is large because there's a big backup, but the survivors, when they're in their location, probably have around about 6 or 7 people around them at any one time.
All right, so it's an illusion that you're selling rather than a reality.
Well, I'm not selling surviving, though. I'm not selling surviving.
What are you selling?
I'm selling human emotion around being uncomfortable. Clearly not surviving, are they? If they were surviving, I'd leave them there and see who was the last person left
Well,
alive.
I'd like to leave some of them there. Because see, there's a big debate here. Some say it's good, clean fun, and others say it just brings out the worst in people because you're pitting them against each other in a competitive situation for money. What do you see?
Well, I see the fact to win Family Television Awards, Diversity Awards, and our viewership huge through children, parents, grandparents, and we've never crossed the line in bad taste. We haven't had less than 20 million viewers a week on our bad weeks.
Look, it's a phenomenon, no question.
I mean,
You've been accused of orchestrating it and, you know, scripting it so that the person you want to win wins.
Anybody can say anything. That's obviously ridiculous.
Is that true?
No. It's ridiculous. You don't think it would really come out if that really happened?
You guys, you're so creative, you can make anything come out if you want to.
Do you really have guests on this show, or is it all animatronic?
No, they're real guests. And they were, you know, but they get points for coming on the show, that's for good. Now, look, I don't have anything against the show. I think that it's interesting entertainment. But I am a little bit worried sometimes that you might be exploiting certain people who don't have the emotional skill to really rise to what the challenge that you're presenting them. Have there ever been people that you've had to say, cut, we got to get rid of this person?
Oh, that happens in casting. I mean, they go through a 7-hour written psychological examination, the same as given to law enforcement people.
Really?
The background checks are immense. We get rid of tons of people. Pretty much all 16 that go on each survivor are very A-type driven people, very much leaders in their
Very
own
competitive.
rights. However,
but you had this loon over in New Jersey who was a wife beater or something you had to get rid of, right? Was that on your program or one of the other reality shows?
Must be another one.
I'm sorry. I remember the case, but not the program.
This one's Survivor, right?
Yeah, I know Survivor. What was it up there? Big Brother. Oh, that was stupid. All right. I'm sorry. That's my mistake. That was such a dumb show. Now, how long can you take this? I mean, you're going to take the Survivor fighting the shark hand-to-hand? Survivor what?
You know, I think that we're just seeing with Survivor 4, the ratings have gone up. The critics, and especially in newspapers, are saying how much they like it. I think we have a few more survivors in us.
Yeah.
But yet again, it's not surviving. It's really the politics and being uncomfortable, and can you deal with other people?
Right. I got to ask you a favor. Please get Moonves at CBS to take you out of the 8 p.m. time slot, because that's when the factor is. Put you on at 9 o'clock. That would be, and more people watch at 9 o'clock. And Survivor kind of people like to stay up late. You know that.
Just watch Eco Challenge.
All right. Mr. Burnett, thanks for coming in, taking the Factor Challenge rather than the Eco Challenge, which is on USA. And they'll play it 1,000 times if you want to see it. Next, we'll wrap things up, the most ridiculous item of the day, and some of your mail.
You know, I've seen just about every kind of PC that Compaq makes. Now, though, we've got the Compaq Presario 6000T PC. As my kids would say, it's awesome. It's got the latest Intel Pentium 4 processor so that you can download, surf, play MP3s all at the same time. And you can get it any way you want it. It's what I call a personal computer. Like, this is the Andersons PC. They're getting a DVD burner, editing software. I see where this family's going. Hollywood. DJ Dan from Scranton, PA. He's getting a CDRW drive so that he can mix and burn his own CDs. Looks like the Everett family got this week's special. That's the Compaq Presario 6000T PC with an Intel Pentium 4 processor, 20 gig hard drive, and we'll give you a $100 instant rebate. So it's just $7.99. You can get in on it too if you hurry. You just call 1-888-921-6719 and get yours direct from Compaq. Of course, the best PC we'll ever make is the one we'll make for you.
Saturday,
It's a big, bold move.
Bulls and Bears is in D.C. with the Beltway Buzz.
Don't you go anywhere.
The investment tips, the trading picks, and the top stocks you should know about. Plus, the war, the markets, and your money. Fred Barnes with some capital advice.
Keep your eyes right here.
B&B in D.C. this Saturday at 10 a.m.
Hi, I'm Edie Donahue. Tomorrow on Fox & Friends, an all-star cast starring Newt Gingrich, Ollie North, Dick Morris, and Dennis Leary. Don't miss this, 6 a.m. Eastern Time.
Time now for the most ridiculous item of the day. An economics professor at the University of Calgary in Canada says his research indicates that the more people drink, the more money they earn. Professor Chris Aul believes that high-stress jobs cause people to imbibe more alcohol, and those jobs often pay more. We say that's ridiculous. Drinking a lot impairs mental clarity, the key to making money the honest way. For the record, your humble correspondent does not drink alcohol, preferring various boring juice drinks. You really wouldn't want to see me drunk anyway, would you? And finally tonight, the mail. Plenty of reaction, my talking points about Islam and Catholicism and the problems those institutions are having. Margie McDonald, Clayton, Georgia. O'Reilly, thank God somebody in the media finally recognizes the Islamic threat to the world. You will be viciously attacked, but you must continue speaking out. Ali Salam, Saudi Arabia. O'Reilly, your segment on Islam and terror was deplorable. America didn't mind dropping the atomic bomb on civilians in the name of self-defense. Dr. Alexander Bylakowski, Findlay, Ohio. Mr. O'Reilly, I was greatly disappointed with your talking points memo. How can you reasonably equate the actions of a minuscule minority of Catholic priests with the Islamic actions that have caused thousands of deaths? Both Islam and Catholicism have lost some moral authority, Doctor. That's the only similarity. Bob Dufresne, Fairfax, Virginia. O'Reilly, your analogy of Islam and the Catholic Church lacking moral leadership is absolutely correct. Mick Lang, Bahrain. Just last week, the U.S. Embassy here was set on fire by thousands of Muslims. Palestine is just being used by some Islamists to focus their hatred. About a new book that wants the government to pay stay-at-home moms. Mary Kelly, Cheyenne, Wyoming. Bill, it is precisely your attitude towards women that results in blatant discrimination. Our children are our greatest resource. Until we fully invest in them, our male-dominated government is morally bankrupt. Funny you should use the word bankrupt, Ms. Kelly. Darla Nemi, Eldersburg, Maryland. Having children staying at home is a family choice. The government should not be funding that choice. Lieutenant Louis McCrae, San Diego. Mr. O'Reilly, you're absolutely wrong. It is crucial to aid single mothers with young children in order to help them realize the American dream. Lieutenant, the author wants all mothers to be paid, not just poor single moms. Come on. Enough's enough with the socialism, all right? About the Tribute to Heroes CD that flopped because the rock stars involved did not promote it. Leanne Minster, Anchorage, Alaska. Bill, you've done the right thing by putting the charity projects for the 9/11 families on the spot. However, every time you embarrass the performers, makes it less likely they will ever do charity work again. Samantha Brenner, Pioneer, California. If the artists on the CD were really concerned about getting the money to the families, they would have publicized the recording like they publicized their own CDs. Very good point, Samantha. Megan Jennings, Stowell, Pennsylvania. Bill, you are in need of a new word to replace pithy. How about concise, Megan? Nah, it doesn't have the panache. And Debbie Menon, Dubai. Bill, I was watching The Factor, and my 7-year-old son said, he's fighting again, this time with a woman. I couldn't help but laugh. Debbie, are you sure your son didn't just see a promo for Neil Cavuto? And how about that website? www.foxnews.com/O'Reilly. My column for WorldNetDaily.com is about the world war that may be coming with the Muslims. How about emailing us some pithy comments? O'Reilly@foxnews.com, O'Reilly@foxnews.com. Love to hear from you. That is it for us today. As always, we thank you for watching. Hannity and Combs are next with Trent Lott. Does he think Tom Daschle